How did one group of criminals in California and Florida manage to steal $83 million worth of Amazon merchandise right from underneath their noses? Well, in today's video, we're gonna find out. Yeah, welcome back into the channel, guys. This story is pretty crazy. I don't even know how you end up in this situation, but the FBI and law enforcement in California and in Florida have arrested dozens of people they say belong to a gang led by Armenians, also some of them from Iran and Azerbaijan, and also with Mexican cartel links. This is a pretty sketchy story, but how they managed to steal $83 million worth of Amazon merchandise is pretty crazy. So these people were involved in a lot more than just theft and grand theft. They were doing attempted unalivings, they were doing actual unalivings, drug trafficking, a whole bunch of other things. But the big scam that actually got them on the radar was this Amazon merchandise theft. So what they did, and what I didn't even know existed, Amazon has a board where you can sign up if you own a trucking company to transport merchandise for them between warehouses and distribution centers and from manufacturers to the fulfillment centers. And so what you do is, if you are a legitimate trucking company and you have your license and insurance and all of your stuff that you need together, you can go to this Amazon I guess it's called like a relay board, sort of like where they put the available loads, and you can apply to be on there. And once you get approved, you can go on and accept a load, and you can go to that location, load up the truck, you can drive it to wherever they need it driven, and you will get paid for that load. Well, these guys, being the shrewd businessmen that they were, decided to go one step further. What they would do after they got approved for a load is they would pick it up, but on their way to the warehouse, they would divert for an hour and go to their own warehouse, which they had rented in the city, mostly in California where all this happened. There were some of them in Florida, but California was the majority of this. And they would offload part of the shipment. So remember, this is an entire tractor trailer load of like 500 mini fridges and 400 kitchen mixers and 600 small, chairs or, foldable chairs and 100 baskets. So they got this whole truck full of merchandise, and all they're gonna do is go unload a pallet or 2 pallets, right? Well, Amazon started getting the notices from the manufacturers or from the fulfillment warehouses, whichever way that it was going, that the shipments were a little bit light. They were short on some of these products. And of course, they would file a claim to get reimbursed. Some of these were $80, $100, $200,000 at a time worth of merchandise. And these guys thought that by not emptying the entire truck, by only emptying a little bit, that it would go unnoticed. Well, unfortunately for them, they got noticed, and one of it didn't really set off the alarm bells. But after they got caught a second, third, fourth time doing this, not caught, but red flag, then Amazon started investigating. Well, they had 4 trucking companies, and they were able to pull this off constantly. So they would do one with a trucking company, and then they wouldn't do another one with that company for like 4 months. The next month they do this one, and then this one, and then this one. And they were just kind of circling, and they had other companies. They had all kinds of shell companies and LLCs, and Amazon wasn't able to link it all together until the police and FBI got involved, and they ended up pulling the IP addresses of all of the logins from the relay board and paired it with actual Amazon accounts that were logged in through normal internet, like I would here in my house, and pulled the IPs that matched and figured out that the guy whose name was on all the internet services, all the providers where the internet was logging in at the offices of the warehouse where he was dumping the merchandise to resell the stolen stuff, his house, all of this was all in the same name of him or one other person. They owned all of it. And they realized it's all the same guy, all the same trucking companies, everything was connected. And they called the FBI, they called local police, they're out in California, and they started an investigation. They put them under surveillance. They let them pick up more loads, which they knew they were gonna steal from, obviously. And they let them go to town and steal, and they surveyed the truck where the truck was supposed to go from point A to point B, and it went from point A to point C to unload the stolen stuff they wanted, and then finish the trip to the warehouse or manufacturer fulfillment center. So they followed it to the secondary warehouse, theirs, where they were going to steal it. They watched them unload a bunch of stuff, which should not have been unloaded there out the dock. And then they ultimately had a warrant for probable cause where they knew that they were stealing and grand theft and all that sort of stuff. And so they were able to raid the warehouse, raid the facilities. And sure enough, all of Amazon's merchandise was there, at least what they had not sold to that point. They had been fencing that merchandise and selling it off. Of course, that's how they make the money. They steal these pallets of stuff and then they put it out for sale. I'm actually shocked they didn't put it out for sale back on Amazon. They sold it to direct, I guess, people they knew, exported it. They shipped some stuff overseas. All of that, in addition to their drug trafficking and their unaliving and all their other criminal activity, landed over a dozen of them in jail. I'll put screenshots up, as always, during the entire stint of this video. But this is pretty crazy. If I flip open my handy-dandy laptop here, DHS, the Department of Homeland Security, also said these guys were in the country legally, at least most of them, on work visas. Oh, they were working, ladies and gentlemen. They were working the system pretty hard. And the charging documents, I scrolled down this, the charging documents are 234 pages. The first 100 pages are their drug activity and their violence and all that. But I get down to like the mid-hundreds pages, and that's where I found all of the actual theft and the Amazon fraud and all of that. And the U.S. attorney in Los Angeles and the DHS attorney says not only did they arrest all of these guys, they had 3 armored vehicles, 14 firearms, $100,000 in cash, which I'm shocked that's all they had, millions of dollars in stolen merchandise, and they're now facing between 10 years and life in federal prison as well as deportation should they get out of jail. This is the Attorney General in the Attorney's Office out there in LA who said it's a privilege to be here on a visa or other temporary status within our country. So they are visitors. They violated our laws and they will be prosecuted, hopefully convicted, and then removed. Law enforcement tells Fox the sting got its name Operation Supper's Ready based off a picture depicting some of the suspects enjoying a mob-style dinner. So this is right out of like 1990s, 1980s New York crime family, the 70s, the 60s, all the way back, where they just had an entire operation going. These guys just happen to be from Armenia, Azerbaijan, and Iran. So out there in, way far east Europe, Western Asia, Russian area, in between that area there. So wow, $83 million before Amazon was able to put the clamp on them. And you wonder why Amazon has to charge all these fees and why companies have to account for theft and shrinkage, why Target is getting rid of self-checkouts. How do a group of guys start a trucking company and steal $83 million from Amazon right underneath their noses, transporting their own merchandise? I don't know, it's pretty crazy. As always, I like bringing you guys these stories. I'm into true crime, I'm into the underworld, and I think it's interesting to see how these investigations happen and how these people got away with it so they can hopefully stop it in the future and not hurt all of us with, inflated prices. Also, the manufacturers have to account for this theft. The sellers that buy from these places, wholesale and resell it, they get charged a higher price, and that means all of us get charged a higher price. So the next time your prices go up, you can blame inflation, which it's true, it happens, but also blame the theft of what these criminal organized theft rings do, because it hurts all of us. So as always, thank you for being here. Thanks for watching the video. I appreciate it. Thanks for hitting the thumbs up and sharing this and liking it and doing all that good stuff. And also, there's some great links in the description box, including our listing service, cross-listing from List Perfectly, and accounting and bookkeeping from My Reseller Genie, and CPA services from Mark II, not your dad's CPA. Also, my Facebook group, Thrifter Reseller World 2.0, is linked down below, and my new podcast, Never Offended, also in the description box. So go take a minute and check out all those great links because they are there for each and every one of you. They benefit me. And you can also join the 365-day-a-year daily deals group, where we share some of the best deals from all over the internet, Amazon, eBay, Walmart, Shopify, and beyond. Make sure you take a second and go down there. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.